What is going on, guys? This is Miyasin, and this is going to be the Security Force combo video. I haven't made one in a while. And yeah, this deck is pretty good. I wouldn't say it's necessarily meta, but it has some nice two-card combos that actually generate a lot of long-term advantage, but also kind of gives you a really nice follow-up. So you're not just making interruptions, and this deck does not utilize the graveyard whatsoever, so you can play all the floodgates like D-Shifter, D-Fisher, Macrocosmos. I'm pretty sure it can also play Necro Valley, which means that it does have a pretty good matchup against a lot of the meta decks out there, and maybe this could be the anti-meta strategy for you. But before we get into the combo video, make sure you like and subscribe, really helps me out a lot. Yeah, let's jump into combo number one. So it can literally just be a combination of these two cards. Well, I mean, anything that gets you to the two monsters that I'm about to show you right now. So Reinforcement of the Army could search either Idea, I don't really know how to pronounce it, or the monster that Idea would summon. It doesn't really change too much, it's just that Idea is like an extra body on the field, but you don't really need it to utilize its graveyard effect when to recycle back a banished Monarch spell or trap. That's completely irrelevant to us. And the field spell will get you the Gravitino. Now, you will be going normal summon Idea to summon the Chiyomaru, which is exactly the monster that I was referring to with the Reinforcement of the Army, because shockingly enough, this has the I don't know how they call it again, the vassals, like the baby monarch stats, 800 attack and then 1000 defense. It's a warrior monster as well, which is randomly really convenient. And yeah, you can use the effect to banish an S-Force monster and then return it back to the hand, special summon an S-Force from your deck. And yeah, you also have the follow-up in the form of Chiyomaru in your hand, so you can do the exact same play next turn. And Platina, when it gets special summoned, you can revive back one of your banished S-Force monsters, which means that you can banish special summon back the Gravitino that you banished. And obviously, when Gravitino is summoned, you can search an S-Force card from your deck to your hand. So you can see how you actually get a lot of cards, basically just out of one Chiyomaru that successfully resolves. And the card that we searched is actually a disgusting card. It's S-Force Chase, and it reads, target face-up cards your opponent controls up to the number of S-Force monsters you control with different names, so up to 2. Return them to the hand. If an S-Force monster you control would banish a card or cards from your hand to activate its effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. You can only use each effects of S-Force Chase once per turn. So in other words, you actually get a double bounce on your opponent's turn, and if the monsters that your opponent are being bounced are in the same columns as the columns that your S-Force monsters are sitting on, it's going to be really bad for you because of the effect of S-Force Gravitino, the passive effect, which implies that each of your opponent's monsters in the same column as one of your S-Force monsters is banished when it leaves the field. So your opponent isn't just getting the cards back to the hand, the cards are actually going to get banished. This is huge. But yeah, that's it for combo number one, which is the bread and butter combo. Let's get into kind of more technical combos with combo number two. So how do you play around or through hand traps? Well, it's really simple. The effect of Chiyomaru is a quick effect that can be utilized literally at any time. It's not just during the main phase, which means that if your opponent has something like, I don't know, Effect Veiler, well, you can just go normal Chiyomaru, proceed to end phase, and then use the effect, and Veiler will not be able to utilize its effect at all during the end phase. And obviously, since we already hard drew the Chiyomaru and the Gravitino, and we didn't really have to go through the loops of Reinforcement of the Army with the field spell, etc., the Drolin Logbird is just not gonna be doing anything here. So we get to do so many actions through all these hand traps because Ghost Bell is irrelevant. We don't really use the graveyard at all, and the opponent is going safer for the Dragon Link combo. The Striker Dragon has to be in the extra monster zone, so either in column number 2 or 4. So we're always trapping our opponents by positioning the S-Force monsters in these columns. It is the most optimal way to do this kind of combo because the S-Force Chase is always going to banish the Link monsters, basically. And yeah, as soon as my opponent summons the White Dragon Wyver Buster here, in order to prevent my opponent from going Robulus Search Ravine, we can just go S-Force Chase. The Wyver Buster is going to be bounced back, but the Striker Dragon is going to be banished because it was in the same column as Platina. Now, Extravagance is obviously not needed. It really doesn't matter what we get, but let's just say that we are now under Droll. We can't really go into Gravitino anymore, so we can still put up a lot of damage. We can special summon the, what's his face again? Edged Laser, which summons Chiyomaru from the hand, and we can attack for a little bit more damage. But the important thing here is that we have 4 security monsters with different names. So next turn, our opponent is in deep trouble because we have basically the ability to banish 4 cards our opponent controls literally in one shot. That's kind of gigantic if you ask me. And the extra deck is completely useless. So with only 3 cards, we can constantly get back like just a huge flow of resources going. The interruption, the S-Force Chase back to back, and also we obviously get to draw cards for turn or with Extravagance or with Prosperity if you're playing the card. But yeah, this deck is just it just gets better and better after you play out turn 1. So if you don't lose to hand traps, well, this deck is perfect for you because there's just nothing my opponent could have done. Nothing, like I said, in the entire deck is Ghost Bellable, and you can easily play around Effect Veiler. I guess the only cards that do hurt are Ash and Imperm, but whatever, you can't do anything about it. And we played relatively, well, I mean, extremely conservative here by never going into the Link monster and overcommitting for useless plays, so we also do not lose to Nibiru at all. But that's it for combo number 2, let's get into combo number 3. Okay, so this is another one of those kind of just random hands in a way, but not really. This is the kind of hand that you might see sometimes and you're gonna be like, I have no idea what I'm doing. But trust me, this hand is incredible. It's really good, and not just because of the D-Fisher, which randomly prevents the Effect Veiler from kicking in. But yeah, we activate D-Fisher first. It's really important to use D-Fisher before using Rhoda. It's not the same thing, because if you use Rhoda first, you can get hit by Droll and Logbird, because I'm pretty sure it says send from the hand to the grave and not discard, whereas under D-Fisher, our opponent is not allowed to use Veiler, DD Crow, well, it's not like it would matter anyways, and those other cards that always say send the hand to the grave as a cost. So yeah, now we search for Chiyomaru, we activate the field spell to search for Gravitina. Always, the priority is always having Chiyomaru and Gravitino. It's really what you always want to see in your hand, really. But yeah, anyways, the Edge Laser gets you the Chiyomaru. Edge Laser is not great. I guess one of the only important thing about Edge Laser is that it's kind of like a semi-extender, but also it's another name on the field, so your chase gets to bounce back or even banish another card, but it's not that good. And also, when you have like a pretty big engine going, you could technically go for the Link 3 monster, but it would kind of be overcommitting. Anyways, the Platina revives back Gravitino, which searches you for Specimen, not for Chase. What does Specimen do? It's basically a monster reborn from your graveyard or banished, and then it puts back the monster in the same, well, it summons the monster in the same column as an opponent's monster, which is pretty nice. And also it has an effect in the graveyard where it's literally the exact same as Mech Knight Indigo Eclipse or Zodiac Barrage. God. Shifty boy, it moves! But yeah, anyways, now we go for Justified. We set our 2 traps. If you don't watch Farfa's video, I don't know what you're doing, but yeah, you're missing out. Alright, scale and then whatever, summon a bunch of monsters. Now we actually have 3 interruptions going on. The Justify can negate the Harmonizing Magician or whichever monster our opponent is trying to use, and shift to a zone the Justify points to, and it points to 3 zone the opponent has, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, anyways, so whatever, the opponent kind of just will not be able to trigger the Harmonizing, and on resolution you can go Specimen and then revive back the Platina, again in the same column as an opponent's monster, into Gravitino, and then search for literally anything, the field spell, whatever. And then the S-Force Chase, remember that the card says bounce back, so return back the monsters to the hand, but we have Gravitino, so since our 3 opponents' monsters are in the same column as our 3 S-Force monsters, they are getting banished when they leave the field and not returned back to the hand, which is gigantic. So against decks like Pendulums, it really does matter. And yeah, whatever, you can go for access code now and just kill. There's so many ways to kill it. It just makes like no sense. It's way too easy at this point. You can even kill like under Nibiru. It's just a joke. But yeah, we didn't even need to go for the Extravagance. And yeah, Merry Christmas, you win the game. So that's pretty much it for the Security Force combo video. I really hope you guys were able to learn a thing or two and enjoy. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.